So over to you.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Thanks. So I'm going to just do a few things. I'm going to do a spotlight on myself. I'm also going to do a video test just to make sure the clarity is going to be good for everyone. Now, because I've spotlighted myself, you may not see the edges of this video, so I invite you to fit to frame. And if you know how to basically right-click this video, and you'll see an option, fit to frame. All right, so just give me a confirmation if it's clear or if it's still blurry.
Yep, looks good.
It's good.
Awesome. Now I got a note it's coming up saying Spotlight video won't be recorded.
This is okay, but I'm the only video on, so when you see 4 people.
Okay.
That should be good. Okay, so am I correct on that? I'm pretty certain that hundreds of people have asked, I want to record a video. And
now, Denzel, you are cutting in and out a little bit audio-wise there.
Oh, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not sure why that's happening right now.
Okay.
Could be a bunch of reasons, and I won't say it's my home internet connection because I think I just finally upgraded it the last year. Okay, so let me just begin. So thanks for attending. My name is Denzel Fernandez. I'm a Microsoft Teams specialist. I'm new to the organization, Microsoft. Been there for about maybe 77 days now. And prior to coming to Microsoft, I was working at Maple Leaf Foods for 2 years, where I was pushing Microsoft Teams for voice, audio conferencing, Teams rooms, and the whole shebang and adoption for it. So happy to say that that was a mission accomplished. We got out of Skype, and we finally were in Teams only, and we were using third-party apps, and we embarked on this journey to make Teams a sticky one for everyone. So we used a lot of Power Apps and created a lot of things. Prior to that, I was working at TD Bank for about 10 years, where I, was exercising my first skill, which is SharePoint. So 15 years working into SharePoint. No, I don't blog. Probably read all of yours though. And in that time of working as a SharePoint, I'd say SharePoint guy, you might know about the Chuck Norris jokes in SharePoint. So in the day. So I was primarily an infrastructure oriented person. I have a little bit development experience with me, and that's helped me maybe improve some of my SharePoint skills. One of the biggest things I did at TD Bank probably is install 333 SharePoint servers, over 60 farms, if I had to say, and the largest farm was like 33 servers in it. It was in 2 data centers, and I still told my boss I had to restore the config. I can't restore a configuration database, so they didn't like that part. So when it went down, even though all the geo-replications and all that fun stuff and log shipping and database mirroring, you still can't do anything with a configuration database. So don't ask me about on-premise, because I, like you, have pivoted to the cloud, and I've adopted SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, Power Platform, OneDrive. We all know it's my site, and so forth. So why am I here today? Well, I started to realize in the pandemic, I needed to make things a lot more engaging when I'm talking to my customers, talking to my clients, talking to my end users, and talking to various stakeholders in my organization. And so what I started to do was pick up on some of the YouTube skills, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So I like to make things a little bit interesting for everyone. So when I provide information, I kind of choose different ways to do that. And so some of the things you might see here today, I invite you to try. So there'll be just about 15 minutes of a demonstration. And then after this, if you want to hang around, I can help you configure this yourself. All right, so let me just show you a few things that I have. So right now, I've green screened myself, so that's why the background's gone. But sometimes, I'm always at home and I'm just like kind of bored. What is that? Is that Sean? Sean, you're on mute, Sean.
I didn't know it was me that came through.
No, I'm seeing someone else in here. Okay, if you could just turn off your video for a second, I'm just going to do this thing. But thanks for jumping in. So Sean's one of my peers actually at Microsoft. He's probably the reason why I am here. But so to make my to make my meetings a bit more engaging with my audience, I usually like to get in my commute and I take my little virtual car to work, right? So, and sometimes, when I'm alone, I like to have my friend here. His name is Bernie. I'm sure you've seen him before. You might find him in an IKEA catalog because those stools he made popular. And when that's done, I try to, keep it carbon free, and I jump in my Tesla, and then, I'm just in here, hands free, and I can just go to sleep in there as well. And then when I'm done on the ground, I can always take you up in the air, and we could have that flying experience here. So this is all great, and this is engaging for the moment, but how do you bring information across? And so we talked about what's new with Ignite. And so one of the things that I've been looking at is how to bring that Ignite information using video. I could bore you to death with PowerPoint, or I could do this. I could show you about those top 10 features that are coming from Ignite and or SharePoint or Power Apps, and we can talk about these cool features in a very different way. So I've rather chosen to use video as a way of communicating. And so in the next little bit, you will see me switch through various scenes that I've created, or slides as you call them in PowerPoint. And I'm just trying to demonstrate with you how powerful this could be for you as an instructor, teacher, consultant, and or just a communicator in your organization, should you need to try some of these things as well. So if this engagement's good, you can always get the team's gestures back, and you can get more engaged. And just like Peter did today, you could infuse that poll, and it can pop things up and can make things a lot more interactive. So Il Sawyer asked the question about web registration, and did we use it today? No, we didn't, but maybe Peter will, hopefully he'll get this feature in the 30 days, and he'll be able to do just that. So Peter, when you create that next meeting, you'll notice there's that yellow line that lets you click a link, opens up a website, and it lets you fill out a form that others will use for registration. They can add in custom fields, custom stuff. And I know you're thinking, I can do this in SharePoint, but you don't have to, because the end user is doing it for you. When your meetings get really engaging and your audience starts to span, you'll see Microsoft Teams meetings be a lot more elastic. And what I mean by that, you go from 10, 15, 20, 30 to 1,000 and beyond. And what you're going to find coming soon is that Teams meetings, after 1,000, the 1,001 up to 10,000, they're streamed the content. So they can interact with the presenters. They may not be able to unmute their mics, but they can definitely still be part of that. Because right now, I think it's 350 or 300 or somewhere is the limit. It's going up to 1,000, but then, there's this concept of going beyond. Once your event's done, you'll be able to collect stats on how people fared in the registration, how long they came, how long they left, and so forth. So if you like this kind of demonstration, just stick around, because I'm going to just show you something else that you could also do with this. So most recently, I was talking to a client, and I was trying to open up a concept of how virtual engagement could be possibly in the future. So imagine this, right? I'm your insurance agent, and I'm calling you, and I'm saying, hey, you can either dial me, or you can click that button, join Teams call, right? So in the beginning, everyone calls their insurance agent. Everyone likes to, speak to them about a better quote, or speak to them about any updates or changes in their plans. But imagine this, with a QR code and so forth, and this meeting app integration, you and your client can be filling out the information together. Like, why are we saying A, alpha, A for Apple, okay, B. Like, we keep doing that in 2021. I feel like why are we doing that on a phone? Why don't we just kind of pivot and be that service provider that provides more than one option to meet? You can call me, or you can just click and join me, and I'll have the video up, have your information up. When people enjoy this, what I find is that you can start to bring
These days, big business
audio.
is focused more on
You can bring
profit
audio
than on
in.
people.
You can make it like how we were screen sharing. You could do that. You can go full screen with that. You can come back, and you can even talk about how people need to be better prepared for the next thing. You were never prepared for the pandemic, but you definitely need to prepare for the aliens, because who knows when they're going to take away your home. So that's another way of kind of like elevating your meetings and kind of taking it to another concept, right? So that's another thing. So when it comes to Microsoft stuff, I try to put into that product, right? Like, how can I best show someone how to use Surface. And what we've done is we've done a lot of demos before, but I find that our demos don't necessarily have you touch or feel it, right, in a second. So I'm going to invite one person to turn on their video on this call, and I'll show you something really cool. So go ahead. Peter, would you like to be the one? Since you had it on earlier, would you turn on your video for me? Go ahead. All right. So we got Peter here, who's turned on his video. Awesome. And let me just right click here and fit to frame. So I got him. So I've been looking at how can I put my customer in the demo? All right. So I'll show you in a second. So this is one. Well, I'm just going to switch into it and I'm going to say, hey, I don't know anything, and this guy doesn't say much, but if you bring Peter up here, he'll actually tell you what's up, right? Like, so this is another way where you could actually kind of like change that and get into a Q&A like panel or have questions in a Teams meeting without going live events, right? And then you can bring that top 5 stuff up there. You know, I find like sometimes information like this is like City Pulse 24. If it's just there, you know, and then you close your eyes, you open it like, yeah, I saw that, you know, that's what's there. So it's having some static content or having your agenda up in your video 24/7, not 24/7, but like for the hour or 30 minutes you have it, could be another way to communicate, you know, and you can take this to another level where you can just bring in your phone, right? You can just, you know, zoom into the phone. So here you can see I'm logging into Microsoft Teams with my cell phone number. You can set that up too. It's very simple. It's just, it's actually free, I think, if you have Azure AD P1. But it sends me a code and it's mapped to a user account. This has taken me less time than to tell you you have 10 minutes to meet with me for you to see a demo. I mean, you're just seeing the demo right now. So that's kind of cool. And I can blur it, you know, if you want to see what I'm typing, I can blur it, right? So that's another way to kind of like show and not show. And if you're trying to keep sensitive stuff out of the picture. And again, you can bring back some video.
Across many industries,
right?
Frontline workers are essential.
And then you can come back and you can switch to yourself and you can keep talking about the product. Thank you, Peter, for doing that for me, right? Another way you could do this at home is if you actually have a green screen. So I'm going to activate a fake one because I don't actually have a green screen here. And I'm going to show you what I do for something with Microsoft Teams rooms. Now, I have to thank Sean, who actually started this with me because Sean actually showed me this a while back. So let me just bring this up here for you. So this is a demo. Let's go on the Yealink MTRs. Okay, right click this, camera effects. Here we go. All right, so let's go here. So here it might look like I'm sitting on this table. And at a click of a button, I'm going to bring up a display. And that's the MTR. That's actually behind me if you saw my video earlier. So that's actually my MTR. And if you don't like it here, I can just throw it on the wall. You know, and it's not too far to put Peter sitting in this seat as well, right? And bringing up the content that maybe, you know, the customer can, or your client or your colleagues can enjoy. So I thought that's a lot more engaging. I'm going to drop a link in the chat just towards the end of this pitch, but you'll be able to download some scenes and you'll be able to add a date-time logo of your own organization, and that'll get you started on how it is there. All right. So that's one part of it. You know, if you want to expand this to, you know, other things, you would take this meeting and stream it to the internet, YouTube, LinkedIn, through NDI meetings. And so that's another way of doing it. And so I've been working with a few guys and I don't have everything set up, but I'll share these with you. It's already on GitHub. I've created some scenes so that when you have a Teams meeting and you want to go live, you have 4 presenters, 5 presenters in your meeting. You could just, you know, bring a panel up, presenter 1, you can get presenter 2, you know, presenter 3, or it's like presenter 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, and 3, or you want to share content. You know, I got nothing there right now. I got nothing switched on, but if this was that kind of a meeting, we would be seeing 3 people from 3 different places and the shared content as well. So that's also something that can help you guys try and figure out and use for your own use cases, whether it be the Toronto SharePoint user group and or it could be events in your own organization. So that's another use case for kind of, hey, how do I use my team meetings, make it engagement and go live, right? So that's also in there. Outside of that, I've been looking at simple ways of just trying to quickly show software without sharing my screen. And screen sharing is going to get better with 30 frames per second, but I just want to quickly just show that I have content. So one of the things I've been looking at is this concept of, you know, just having like a like my screen behind me, right? And then just moving to the, let me just see if I can click on this here. Where is OBS? Come in here, click this. So I would just come in here, I would go to the left, or I would go to the right, or I would go to the top or bottom, and I'll go bottom there, or I would just zoom in, or I would just like, you're fine. All right. So one of those things, and I could just reset myself like that. So these are the kind of things that we've been doing. Apart from this, you might have seen some folks who may have had the use of a whiteboard in their meetings as well. So I'm going to show you how simple it is. I'm just going to open up Whiteboard on my computer. If you haven't used Whiteboard, I think it's a pretty cool utility from Microsoft, and it's integrated with Microsoft Teams. And I think a cool announcement was I think Teams will have a tab to click plus and don't enter a website. You'll find Whiteboard there. So what you're seeing right now is just, the whiteboard that I've opened up. And of course, if I move this whiteboard around me, it's just kind of coming in there. How this helps, maybe you would want to overlay some critical information that you've written in a whiteboard on how you would use, or share content as well. So again, this is just a simple green screen, and you can do this very easily. And I believe, Sean, you can even do this without NVIDIA graphics card or an actual green screen. The green screen in here was the fact that the whiteboard was green. So that's how we achieved that. So I got 2 more things to show you, and then we can ask some questions, and look forward to see who would be interested in trying this. So sometimes you could create this in such a way. I'm just going to get rid of this whiteboard for a second. All right. You can create this to look like a website. You don't have to stop thinking, hey, just video screen share. You guys create beautiful web parts. Put yourself in the web part and show them the web part. Say, this is what it does. So that's another way to think about it, or there's another way to kind of approach it. And again, if you want to bring in some, if the video was on from Peter, he'd be up there, right? But that video's not on, but we can bring him up there as well. So that's another way you could kind of approach this as well. So hopefully you liked what you saw in your, oh, Sean's in there. Let's do that again. So LinkedIn, oh, I missed you, Sean, just by a second. There you go. Remember the part where I was saying I could put Sean in here? Let me see if I can do that right now. So let's go to camera 3. All right, there, see, so Sean's in my demo, and I could, just take a seat back, and imagine that being your customer, right? Like it's putting them in the seat, helping them kind of like see the technology in a different way. And so let me put Sean in let's see where we can put him a talk show host. Here we go, Sean, talk show. Oh, don't go too small on me. Yeah, so there you go. Sean's a talk show host, and we can bring up the screen and okay, thank you for doing that. But those are other ways you can do that as well, right? Like as you can see, I'm doing that effect that I had, but I've eliminated my camera, and I'll be back there in a second, as you can see. So hopefully you like this. If you want to combine some, I see a lot of instructors use Zoom It, Snap It, or Snag It, and Cocomite. So one thing I've been trying is how to get into screen sharing and perhaps do some of these things in here. So let me just minimize this, open up a browser and bring it up to that display. So let's just say I bring a browser up to the display, right? Okay, move myself to the left, or all right, wherever works. Full screen that, okay. Just turn off some of these effects here. Okay, so what I want to do now, as I was trying to get into this, is I want to zoom into a website, right? So often with our software, I find like when we share our screens, they go, I can't see shit, or or they say stuff like, zoom into it or something, and it becomes hard because some of you guys have like 4K monitors, some of you guys have 720, 1080, and we don't know. So I think 1080p is where I settle at. So what I do is I use that software that we were talking about. So let's just open up YouTube, okay? And let's see that Formula One up there, right? So what you could do is use some of those tools, and you could just kind of like zoom into it, right? So there, so now it's zooming into it. And then I think there's this one that shows the mouse as well. So you might have seen this already. The reason it's happening little bit faster for me is because I'm using a Stream Deck. So I'll show you that in a second, and how the Stream Deck kind of helps me go faster at doing that. And then last but not least, something I got from the P&P team is the whole drawing thing, right? So you can just start draw, and I think Control Shift can do an arrow. And so I'm building this skill up slowly myself. Because usually I'm just doing presentations, but you know, this is great. This is good for me, especially if I'm going to show someone where in Teams, what to click, how to click, and get a better immersive experience without having to crack open PowerPoint and create, you know, pictures of everything. All right. So on that note, thank you so much for listening. I haven't watched the chat. Hopefully there are some questions, you know, some challenges as well, or if you've done this before, that's great. That's awesome. We'd love for you to share what success you've had with it as well. Thank you, Peter.
Cool. I think if you want to tell us what tools you need.
That was going to be my question.
So,
yeah.
Over what
so what was core teams and what was add-ons? Yeah.
Okay, so everything's an add. So I'll tell you what's core teams. So you don't have to worry. That's Justin Timberlake. No, you don't have to. I won't say that sentence. It's always coming back to a song. If you wait for, I don't know, a couple of days or weeks, the Ignite feature that you saw that called presenter mode, this thing will do 3 layouts for you, right? So let me show you these 3 layouts. This means you can still use PowerPoint, but you can be seen on top of your deck, side by side, or stand out, right? Those are the modes. Reporter mode, stand out, side by side. I'm going to simulate what this might possibly look like. So just bear with me while I turn this on.
So you're not actually using the upcoming team feature. You're using an add-on.
Well,
I
can't wait. I have to create it myself. You know, that's like us developers here creating stuff, and then the Microsoft stuff. We just released it, and we're like, damn, we wrote it for like a month.
I have one question about this. Is this what they consider to be a meeting add-in?
This part here is going to be no, not a meeting add-in. This is actually going to be native Teams. PowerPoint sharing will have some buttons right beside it after you're sharing to green screen your video on top of you. So this is not a meeting add-in. A meeting add-in for me is the plus thing he just did. He clicked plus to add, and the add-in is an app, Power App, or a tab that you've custom published to Team. Right.
Okay, so that was one of the things I added in this release for SharePoint Framework, is the ability to do meeting add-ins now.
Yeah, meeting add-ins. And I think from an API perspective, because when it first came out, it was a plus, and whatever's in the App Store or whatever you have developed and published is available, and it has to be a tab app. So, you know, if it's there, then you would be able to use it.
So what app are you using for the overlays that you're doing right now?
Okay. So we'll do that right now. I'm going to put this link in the chat, unless Sean has already put it. Let me just double check whether it is. All right, bam, Toronto, TPS. So yes, Richard is on the right track here, guys. So Richard knows HTTPS, aka .ms. Sorry, I'm slow typer and sticky keyboard today. Teams like a boss. Sean, if you're saying something, you're on mute. But so that's the link. If you want to click on it, all those who are in the chat, it's going to take you to a website. So I am using OBS. I'm using a Stream Deck, and I'm using an ATEM Mini. The only reason I'm using an ATEM Mini is because I'm using my own camera that I've had for 5 years. It's a DSLR or mirrorless camera. It's HDMI out, so it's clean. It plugs into this CamLink device, or it's like a converter from HDMI to USB capture card. But I have 3 cameras, so I've had to get a switcher. You know, not everyone needs a switcher, but I had to get one because I've had all those cameras. So just to show you, this is the setup. So Sean's on the TV. I'm looking at what is essentially the teleprompter, so that way it looks like I'm always looking at the camera. So right behind this screen is if you've seen a teleprompter, Sean's got one too, so that's why he looks like he's staring into your soul, SharePoint soul. But he's got a look of where it is. There it is. Yeah. If you see Sean's video, you can see that he had a teleprompter like that.
Cool.
But to start, honestly, OBS, one camera, and that gets you started, because showing your display, you don't need anything else. Only time you need these external cameras is if you're trying. Did you know Microsoft supports 1080p? Like, that's how good it is. Go get on another meeting. Our video quality is somehow way better. So I'm happy about that. But at the same time, I'd say screen sharing, right? Because the next thing after this is sharing our displays, whether it be a YouTube video or if it's just like, looking at applications, you can use OBS and do the display sharing. So
Give them a little preview of the screen share, what's coming. So
the screen share?
Yeah, super fast refresh rate.
Yes.
You should be at 30 frames per second now. Video should look pretty fluid, right?
So you look at Sean's screen, or he'll show you at the very top there are some new buttons that appear on the drop down. So there's more control for screen sharing. So what's happening with screen sharing? It's going to go up to 30 frames per second from 15. So no more choppy YouTube videos shared on a screen. That's hopefully going to change for everyone.
Sending at 27 frames per second right now, 28 almost.
So is anybody here using a desktop by any chance? Anybody here have a own PC, or everyone just using company laptop today, or your own laptop? Just a question. Can come off mute if you had to, or you could just use the gestures and give me a like if you're using a laptop. Give me a love if you're using a desktop.
So I'm on desktop right now.
You're on desktop? Nice. Okay. Okay, guys. I see some hearts. I see some hearts. Okay, I see some laptops. That it's still a like. It's half love. So I'll tell you what I found after 365 days of a laptop plugged in. My battery swelled up, and I was having. I didn't know. Like, I thought my table was wobbly, but it was my battery. So be careful if you have laptops plugged in, because you're not moving around the house. Discharge it unless you have software that's removing the charge at 100%. But I've moved to a desktop because of the computing power. I have like 7-8 browsers open with 8-9 tabs. I have like 9 applications open right now, and I can run Power BI. Honestly, I'm a SharePoint guy. I used to log on a server with 64 gigabytes of RAMs and the quad processing. I did all my file transfers from there. But now working from home and SharePoint being a cloud system, I'm realizing it's the endpoint. It's the ARM processor. It's our laptops, desktops that need that juice. And so while we can say, hey, Microsoft, make it run on the lowest bandwidth and the slowest hardware out there, but honestly, you guys are all professional. You should have something a little bit made to top for yourself, so that way you can enjoy work, enjoy doing this, and add some of this technology to your meetings. So we have about, I think, good 30 minutes and left. Is somebody willing to try and import a scene? The link I put there will help you download a scene, which will add your company logo, date, time, and city.
So do we need OBS installed first, or no?
Yes, you do. And yes, you do. And everything should take about 10 to 15 minutes from the time you start sharing your screen. So I'll try and be quick. It won't be too hard. Considering everyone's a developer or possibly developer here, you all have Visual Studio SDKs installed, so you might not have to need the prerequisites as we know.
Do you want to? Should I do a screen share, and you want to walk me through it?
Yes, that'd be the best. So I'll turn off my video camera, right? So that way, when we watch the recording, I'll exit the spotlight, and where is the off? There we go. All right. Okay. So let's get started with installing OBS. Peter, I don't think you have it installed. Is that correct?
I don't believe so, no.
All right. So let's get started. Open up a new tab. And I love that you've used the new Edge feature. I'm getting used to it. I like it, actually. It's like
I'm still getting used to it as well, yeah.
My issue is closing the tab. going to the left versus my muscle is looking at the top for an X, right? That's the only issue I have. Click on Windows. Hopefully you're on Windows. Yeah. Yeah. It's downloading to your left. So it's at 1.1. Yeah. That's the version everyone has. Okay. Perfect. So for folks, give me a like if you've never heard of OBS.
So I have heard of it. I just haven't used it. I've used other ones. I forget the names of.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Never heard of OBS. Okay, let me tell you. OBS is used widely by broadcasting companies, YouTubers, Twitchers. Twitchering is a software where they go online. Discord. Why? Because it enables live streaming. It's the same software used for live streaming, and it's free. If you had to compare OBS, I would say there's the free version Unix, and then there's Red Hat from IBM. So there's a licensed version of OBS called Streamlabs, and OBS is just the OBS for free open source project. A lot of code written for this is on GitHub as well. So great.
So leave it optimized for streaming?
So my preferences for right now is to click cancel, and we'll get started from there, and then we'll fine tune everything. Okay. What I need you to do is go back to that website. You can close the OBS behind you. And you don't need this browser, but the previous website, aka MS, that you visited, I need you to scroll up to the top, this one, correct, to the top, and try to get to the homepage OBS scenes, or yeah, that one, Web Like a Boss. Perfect. Thank you, Raul. And click that link that says download and import Teams Like a Boss. So go for it. Click that. Teams like, yeah. You've just downloaded a zip file. Can you open that up? I would like you to take all these contents and put them in a single folder in your desktop. Call this a folder OBS. So let's take both these files, drag and drop in there.
Just on my other screen.
No problem. That's okay. That's okay. So I typically advocate for OneDrive, just in case you need to move to another computer, install OBS, then you'll have everything there if you're using OneDrive. Yes, Rachel, you could skip on that as well. I'm just looking at the chat there. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got my 2 files in my OneDrive.
I love it, and it's synced and it's good. So we can close these windows, and now we can focus only with OBS. Right. Now, just like Visual Studio, you have your preferences, I know, color scheme and all that stuff, where panes appear. I'll show you what I do later. I actually make this whole UI look like Microsoft Teams. So it's cascading from left to right. I won't get you to fight with it right now. We'll do it a little bit later, but let's import that scene first. Let's click on Scene Collection. It's at the top. File, Edit, View, Profile, Scene Collection. Perfect. Click on that Import button. Use the ellipsis or the 3 dots that appear. Click yes on this, and on the next pop-up, use the ellipsis or 3 dots. Go to your OneDrive or the folder where you had OBS in. Perfect. Click on that JSON and click Open. And it's the import, which will start that for you. Import. The button right next to the left of it.
Yep. I did do
Cancel on this. I'm not sure if screen share is going faster or if I'm speaking.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Let me do that again.
Internet connection. I'm back. Can you click?
You want me to click the import button, right?
Yep, there you go. Select open. And after that, you would click on import button. That's correct.
So I'm pretty sure I've done that both times. So here, let me go slower. So I choose my JSON.
Okay. And click import.
This button here.
Yeah.
That's what I did
Perfect.
last time.
No, you did it. You did it right. Nothing.
Okay. So I don't see anything.
Didn't see the screen. I know. So that's and I'm happy you experienced that, and everyone should see that.
Like it didn't work. Nothing happened. It looks the same.
I know. And so what it does is it imports it, but it does not select the scene collection. So click scene collection and look at your drop down. You will see it twice. So why don't you select one to remove? Select the one that says 1, and then after you select it, click scene collection and click remove. And that way you'll just be left with the 1.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So let's switch into that scene collection. So that was good. So now what I want your eyes to look at, and this is the part where people might have trouble looking at your screen just because of it's everything we're talking about is now at the bottom of his OBS client. So before we modify anything, I'm just going to get your eyes to look at 4 columns, or it's actually 5 columns in OBS. The first column is called scenes. The second column is called
Don't mess
sources.
with them.
I'll get you to mess with it in a second, just
Okay.
so that everyone else. So when by mistake he started to move it, and that's not a mistake. That's good because I want you to move it. But if you do it and you're, oh my God, I can't revert back. There's no undo button here. It's like Unix. Click on View or Edit for me, and there'll be a Docs. Yeah, View. You were on the right plot, and then Docs Reset UI. Perfect. You're back to where it was. All right. First column is called scenes. Second column is called sources. The next column is the audio mixer. And then you have your scene transition. And last are the controls to start the virtual camera, which is what I'm using today. So the way I like to use this and explain this, it's a cascading effect. Whenever you select a scene, you start to see the sources and you start to see the audio mixer. So that's how that works. So selecting a scene is going to show all objects in sources, if I had to say. So SP object is equal to SP scene. Let's go with that. So what we want Peter to do here, as you've imported this, we want to bring your camera in. So everyone's turned off their camera, and that's good because, you know, Windows will only let one application use your camera. I'm going to invite you, Peter, to double click the source, my web camera. Double click it. When it pops up, you will notice that it's looking for a Surface because that's the best laptop in the world. You want to drop that down and you want to select your camera. In the future, I invite you to name your sources, your camera name, so that you know this is the Brio. We'll do that in a bit. Drop down the default device under resolution, and Brio supports up to 4K. So click on custom, but I would advise you set this to 1920. There you go, edge to edge, because that's what most video conferencing will probably want to take. Click OK on this for me. You've just done one of many. Now, if you'll notice that it looks like there, I don't know if it's bigger than, is that a gray wall behind you? I forget what you're.
No, I think it's just darker. It's the lighting.
Got you. I want you to now click Control F on your keyboard, and what that's going to do, it's basically simulating edge to edge or fixed to frame or fit to frame. So if you've done it, then it's edge to edge. It's basically there. But if you didn't do that, you can click the corners or the 3 dots or that appear, and just like PowerPoint, you can resize. So just show them, go in, go out, so that you can see what I mean by. So just like PowerPoint, you can resize objects. We'll leave this full screen. The next thing I want you to do is update 2 overlays. Click on Scene 11 City Date Time. Thank you. Now, what I've done in here is I want you to update your logo. So, of course, there's Microsoft because that's the best logo in the world. But you want to update it to something more relevant to you. So double-click the Microsoft.png. Yeah, double-click it. Click Browse, right? And you don't have to use the logo I supplied, but I invite Peter to go find Envision IT perhaps or something else. If you have a logo, I'm looking for something square. If you don't have one for now, you could use the Microsoft for demonstration.
Yeah, let me just see if I can rip one off of our website quick. I don't know if I've got one handy here.
Yeah. Open a new image, tab. Don't forget it's on the left because it's a new UI.
There we go.
Yeah, we go.
It's not a great quality one, but we'll go ahead.
Yeah. A little trick for guys who love CSS. If you import GIFs, yes, you guessed it right, it'll animate. I imported some RGB GIFs, so it's all like vivid looking because the colors keep changing. Yep, so select that and saved it. Go back to OBS, right? And select that logo instead. It's going to catch that corner. Now, Peter can resize this, so he's going to click OK. First click OK, so you got the image, and now you can resize. You can also position, I prefer padding 10x left and right, so perfect, so it looks a bit better. You're in Toronto as well, Mississauga?
Officially Georgetown right now, but Mississauga.
So if Toronto's good or Mississauga, if you want to leave it the same. For folks who are not in this time zone, I would just want to show them something. If you're not in the Toronto time zone, you have to click the time to source, double click it. I'm using an API call to go get the time. So yes, guys, you guessed it right. This could be a post call. And so it's fetching the time there. At the end, the time will always be your real time, but you have to update the ET at the end to CT or whatever your zone is. For everyone, if you guys are in Toronto, then I'm guessing everyone should be good with this. Click cancel for me, and that's good. The next thing you need to do is update your name and title. So click on the next scene overlay called 11 overlay name title. I want you to double click name and update that. Thank you, Arshad. Yeah, overwrite and click OK. And the next one would be your title, overwrite and click OK. Perfect. Now that you've done that, there's one image in here that's not displaying, which is the PNG file of your company logo. Can you double click that one for me? Yeah, double click it.
Microsoft one?
Yes. I want you to click cancel, and I'm going to do one thing for you. I want you to right click that image. I want you to reset the transform. So click on transform. So this is a little bit Photoshop, like same idea, reset transform. What that does is it brings it back to its original size. The red is what is selected. This entire thing is grouped. So in the future, if he selects the grouped object, he can move the full object all together. Perfect. So adjust and play with this on your logos. I originally designed this for a square logo, but Peter, you know, eventually you can try and do a different one.
Right.
Now you're ready for the money. I
Okay.
invite you to click on 22 Meet Like a Boss. So, hey guys, welcome. This is Peter. This is the date, time, city. And then he'll switch and he'll go into that one, and that will introduce his name. He's got his company logo, and then he can switch back. And then when he switches back, it's back to that. Right?
Cool.
Now there are websites and web sockets. And if you know what that is, you can create a website. Yes, son?
I saw you through the window.
You don't climb on the
I
roof, son.
didn't.
Then how did you
I'm
see
joking.
me? Okay. Can you go outside for 5 minutes? Thanks. All right. Okay. He turned 9, so he's climbing out of windows. Okay. Thank you, Ari. Bye. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So what's going to happen here is how am I switching fast and all that stuff? That's all the accessories that we were talking about. That's like a Stream Deck that can map to any button on your computer, hotkey, shortkey, and or OBS scene. So that's how I am doing that. Now, you've actually achieved what we're looking for, but let's get this camera inside Microsoft Teams. So how do you do that?
Daddy, you're done.
I will be. Okay.
Daddy, you're done.
Yes, I'm coming.
So if I want to green screen my background of junk out of the way, what's the quickest way to do that?
I'm gonna do that in a second. Give me a second.
Why
Can
is
you?
it so hot in here?
Because you guys came in here and it's got hot now. Okay. 5 minutes. Close the door for bed, please. Thank you so much. All right. Are we able to have multiple people through OBS? So there's a guest on a call. Sure. Yeah. You can do all of that. Anya. Now. Thank you. Okay. So let's go back to this for 1 second. I had a thought. I lost it. And then let me try to come back to it. What was your question, Peter?
Well, first just green screening out the background.
Green screening. All right. So before you green screen, let's show people this camera inside Microsoft Teams, then introduce the green screen. And then, we have about 30 minutes, I think, right? We have about more 30 minutes. So if you guys want to stick around, I'm going to show you free software to green screen yourself. So stay for the free stuff. All right. Start virtual camera is a button that appears in OBS on the far right. If you're aspiring to be a YouTuber, you would click start streaming. If you're aspiring to do some podcasts, you would click start recording. Okay, so let's click on start virtual camera. Okay, so what you've done is you've turned on a virtual camera inside your computer. Microsoft Teams doesn't know about this new camera you've installed called
It's just
the
another
OBS.
camera, right?
It is. So because you've already installed it, like you installed it while you were on this call, I'm going to need you to quit this call, quit Teams.
Come back
in.
yeah.
Well, no, actually, I was being maybe a bit more specific. I need you to quit Teams. So it's like right-click the icon Teams and select the word quit. then
Okay,
come back, and then Teams will see this as a device.
Okay, see you in a minute.
Yep, sure. So what you could do, Arsha, what you're saying, different scenes could have different sources, and that source could be a camera, NDI, and or anything you want there. And when you create a scene, you could combine scenes, or you could, switch to the one where it has the person as well. So hopefully that helps.
Denzel,
Yes.
what are you doing with respect to your DSLR in terms of the video capture card? Because that streams into OBS, right?
Yes. It's called
Because that's
Cam
for most of us here, having an external
Real.
camera
Yeah.
not only is a big improvement in the quality of the video, right,
Yeah.
compared to what's built into a machine,
Mhm.
but that's the key role for the video capture card, which have been relatively expensive, although there are fairly cheap imitations now available. Have you tried any of the really cheap video cards, like the ones that are $20, $30 versus $250 to $300?
So I at about 150, I found I didn't need a video card. I found that I needed a CamLink 4K. Yes, this would work on a Mac.
I'm sorry, not
found
the video card, but the cam link is what we're talking about.
yeah, I
Video
found
capture.
cheaper. I found cheaper ones of it, and I bought one from China. I gave it to my boss, and it
Right.
works flawlessly. But it's not 4K; it's 1080p, and it does
Exactly.
60 frames per second. Works
Right.
just as good.
So
Works
you
just
could
as good.
you might I used AliExpress to find
Mhm.
one for $18.
Wow, I didn't do Ali because I got screwed on Ali once, but yeah, I
But
used
there
Amazon.
there are these cheap alternatives, and in my case, it was okay. I'm risking what, $20.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, well, I'm out $20, but I'll save 250 or more rather than buying what's generally recommended as of a year ago, say, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Before this whole
Yeah.
explosion occurred in terms of
Yeah.
it. And so
Yeah.
that's a key job for OBS, is to bring in that external camera, as well
Mhm.
as do the other things like the virtual camera and the overlays and so on. So I
Well-
just thought you might clarify sort of what the OBS role is in those two different aspects.
Got you. OBS is going to be your PowerPoint. And the objects or sources in OBS, one of them is camera. So you could use OBS and still come on a Teams meeting and not show yourself, but everything you show is content, which is not camera content. It's delivered through the medium camera or like a virtual camera, but it's not like showing 30 frames per second of a human. It's
Right.
So I've seen people who use OBS just to present, but they don't have themselves there.
Like I could have my PowerPoint in OBS here.
Yeah.
And then stream that out as a camera to Teams
And just click next in PowerPoint. You got it.
Yeah.
So did you click start virtual camera? Does everyone see Peter's camera on? Can you see the overlays on his actual camera in Teams?
Yeah. So what I did was I came into my device settings here.
Yes.
And picked my OBS virtual camera because it's now appearing as a camera
My man's
source.
got a vMix, so he's halfway streaming. So Peter, I know why you have OBS. I know now why you know about OBS, because
Yeah.
vMix, and you just had to find a use case. Okay, so that's good. So how do you bring a display in here? So we got a little bit more time. You had some questions before I move in further. So it was a good question about what's the purpose of OBS and what's the purpose of the camera?
So the effects that you were doing where you were jumping around in different spots on the screens, that was just you flipping different scenes here in OBS, right?
This is just OBS. So I'm not using anything fancy. It looks just as good as buying like an ATEM Mini, so or something like that. Like you could even be doing something like that. That's all OBS, right? Like that's what it does. All those effects come from OBS. That could have been not a video. That could have been a paper. That could have been anything. So the gentleman who asked me, sorry I couldn't get your name, but like why I'm using OBS is to change a scene. It's not to always show me, maybe to show some other content that could be any source. So people ask, what kind of sources can you add in OBS?
Right.
Image, video, camera, display, and you like that one if you're aspiring to do NDI meetings or this thing. And what's the other one I'd say is besides the video and stuff, I think there's a few. Peter, can you click on text for me?
I've got the list here.
You've got them up. Okay, there it is. So we use Hex for a lot of CSS. The color source can actually create the background purple themes. If you know the hex for themes for the 4269, I think it will be the purple background. So you don't have to go download a purple background. You could just add a source that is called color, type in a color and go from there. So I like creating content here because someone else at work already creates the PowerPoint. So I could just bring in the PowerPoint and then just give it a background over it.
So you driving in the car, I mean, that's just you feeding in a media source background.
Let me share my OBS just to show you my investment into what I've created and some of the naming conventions, some of the things that I've used to just speed up my own productivity. So figured out how to screen share. So I'm going to actually use Teams for screen sharing because I need the recording as well. So screen share.
Denzel, you were going to green screen for Peter.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's not OBS. That's another tool.
No. That's OBS.
Okay.
That's OBS. We can green screen. So let me know if the screen sharing has started.
Yep.
And I'll go through it. All right. So also let me know if it's too big, too small, could be better.
It's readable. Yep.
Readable. Okay, guys. So what I do is, because this software is literally not organizing itself, you have to decide who's on top and who's on bottom when you organize this. So I manually create dividers like we're working in 1990 in a Merck shell. So I created, these are all my cameras, all the cameras, ATEM, HDMI out, that's the XSplit camera I'm gonna get you guys to install. Just grab that website, if someone can type it in the chat, go visit it and download it. It's free. I have a USB camera, which is just over my hands here. And then I've got the Brio from the back. I'm capturing audio, which is my voice. And if you guys speak, it'll capture your voice as well. Got my
what was the last part of that URL again? I'm just finishing it on the chat.
Yep. X.
.vcam, yeah.
/vcam, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone download it. It's free. And you might get a watermark, but I'm going to show you how to hide the watermark. But pay if you think you're going to use it and it works for you. I'm capturing my sound. I'm also capturing my display left, my right display, my which won't show anything right now. The TV that I have. And then I start to create my sources. And you'll see in here, I got a few sources for everything. That's my rhythm. When I'm done all my overlays and everything, I start to build my scenes. So that first scene will be, let me show you the city, date, time. And very few objects in here. I'm nesting scenes. The reason I nest scenes is because if you go update the city to Mississauga from Toronto, all your scenes will show Mississauga. So I'm not going to go to each and every web page. That's why I like the nesting concept. You don't have to break it up if you want it to be intentionally different. So that's how I do that. Then again, same concept, name, title, coming in and out. That's how that worked. This is RGB here. That's an RGB spiral image that I'm not sure will pop up, but if it does, that's great. But that image in there is an RGB. So I'm laying everything in here. And people ask me, hey, Denzel, how do you know what goes on the top and the bottom? And I think the simplest way to explain it is layers. The highest source is your top layer. The lowest source is your lowest layer.
In the background, yeah.
In the background, right? Peter, just give me a time check for 5 minutes so that way I can continue with XSplit. So then I have, different scenes for work from home. But now, once I go through all these, then it comes down to creating actual content that we want to speak about. So when you talked about how did I get that car driving, I actually created just the car. There's nothing there, but there's the car behind it. So here's a YouTube YouTube video that I downloaded, just stock footage. Then I, threw a car on top of it. It has a filter for chroma key, and I'll show you what that is in a bit. So that's why the green's not showing. But if I remove the chroma key, you will see green. If anyone's heard about green screens and stuff, like it's literally what they do in the movies. So I put a chroma key, it disappears the green, and then the objects behind it start to appear. Right. And so that's how I created the front, the rear, side, the SUV. These are all just moving, and then I wait to find a purpose to create one, and then I'll just drop these scenes in there. And then there's the Tug Life. I gotta freeze when this happens for this to actually really work properly. And then you got different scenes like, starting soon. You could even do that, or be right back. If you were, be right back. Okay. Then I can, make a circle. So if you ever want a circle of yourself inside a scene, you could do that. You could do a side blur if you want to do side blurs and just put the content right there in the side blur. You might have seen that at Ignite. Actually, Satya had something set up like this. And then there's more, like, we can go more and more. But let me show you something a little bit more specific. Remember I did that surface demo? So I create my scenes like demos, and I say demo 1, demo 2, demo 3. So that brought in the sound. That scene brought in the sound, right? User watching, that's how I have both the displays and everything there. So minimal objects appear in here. So I don't try to pollute it. That's why I create a scene full of stuff and then just add a scene and nest, and depending on how you move things up and down. That LinkedIn one, how did I create it? There are 4 separate images. I went to LinkedIn, took a screenshot, and put 4 separate images. I'm not sure if you guys see the red borders as I click, but these are separate, separate images. And then I have a transition. So when I click it, it just moves. So it gives that move transition like that. And the same concept here for cooperators.
These days,
the video
business
file,
is focused more
that
on profit.
frontline video file. So I create a scene dedicated with the video that. When I did that whole pitch about Ignite, you're seeing what I've done here. I've cropped my video, dynamic. That's a GIF. It's just rendering in there, right? So it looks really good, but now that you see the simplicity of this, you're not too far from doing this yourself with all the GIFs and PNGs you can find, right? When I get into that end video effect, now notice there's a green screen capture there, but my whole room is seen. And that's when you turn on a green screen and you can just make yourself like a object that looks like you're sitting on a desk, or just a fraction of that, right? So I create the scenes for that in that way. Any questions, guys, before we switch into Peter trying to do green screen? So Peter, hopefully you've installed this VCam in the meanwhile.
I haven't. I'll get on that.
Yeah. Any questions on this? Okay, Darren, I'm going to show you just a few things about the video that you should be cautioned about, right? So Microsoft Teams, when you add your source for a display capture, it's called a video capture. So the moment you do this, you get to name your video capture device. As you can see, I have named mine. Once you name it, it has a pop-up. I'm not sure if the pop-up's coming. Does anyone know if the pop-up just shows?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. It needs a full desktop share. Gotcha. Okay, but just like Peter double-clicked and you saw the Surface camera there at the top, I've done that for all my cameras, set the resolution, whatever it said, default. I tried to, see if I could make it a little bit less than the default, especially 4K Brios or newer cameras. You might want to bring down that resolution to 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080 for that. So that's what I did here. In majority of these things, I've just added them individually as cameras that way. So that way, when I make a scene, I just have to drop in the scene called Logitech Brio. I know it's got the one source, it's got the camera set up how I want it. If I ever was using Logitech in 20 different scenes, I make one adjustment, 20 scenes get updated, and that's the reason I'm doing them separately. Just like PowerPoint. How many times do you guys duplicate a slide? all the time because you need the elements from the previous slide and you just delete maybe the main placeholder content or something like that. So same idea here. You know, I'm trying to just avoid repetition of work. So, you know, creating them individually just makes me build this a lot faster.
Slide masters in PowerPoint.
Slide masters is a good example for that. Yeah. I'm balding, man, in the back. It's that 40 thing, eh? All right. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna switch back and stop. So if there's nothing more to hear, I would love to focus with Peter and just show you the green screen and how we can bring a whiteboard and start drawing on the whiteboard in addition. All right. So let me stop sharing. Or Peter, just go for it. Just take over the sharing as soon as you get a chance. Perfect. All right.
Yeah, it's just finishing up the install here.
Yeah, no problem. It wants to run a quick test on your system to check and see how fast or how good it is. So I think I'm on Spotlight, but I'm going to remove the Spotlight just to make sure we all see your shared screen. Perfect. Okay, so in the meanwhile, I'd love for you to open up Whiteboard, Microsoft Whiteboard. If this complains that it can't do the test, it's because you're on a video call, because it's trying to test and see if it can do a green screen. So that's okay. But if you could just open up Microsoft Whiteboard for me. Once
From
you have it
within
open,
the team?
No, from just standalone app. Windows Store app, if you have it. Perfect.
I do not have it installed.
Oh, you don't? No, that's okay.
No.
We'll do it another way. Click continue. Click continue for me on this installation. Perfect. Tell me you have Google. If you do, just sign in with it. Because if you do decide to purchase this, at least your purchase will be with Google and it knows your identity and you can use it in any other computer.
The audio just went crazy. I don't know if that's XSplit or something else.
Sorry? Was that?
The audio just went crazy on us here.
It's my house. The kids are having a bath, so that's why they keep coming in. They're like, okay, so I think your camera is already up and running. You could say maybe later at the wizard. Oh, it wants to two-factor enable. Click here to activate. No, I don't think it's necessarily XSplit itself, because XSplit has nothing to do with audio. It could be that the camera Insta360. Yes, it is, but I think that is Insta360 a camera that has a mic in it. If you look at the top, these are all your cameras.
This is the one that's actually currently on device right now. It's being used by OBS.
Okay. So stop your. So we'll do two things, right? So we'll stop your camera in Teams first. Then we will go to OBS, and so yep, we'll do one by one. Stop the camera in Teams. Let's bring up OBS next. In OBS, we will go to Show Web Camera Only Scene. We're going to select the source. We're going to update that source. So Show Web Camera Only. It's a scene. It's on your left-hand side. Nope, it's a scene. So remember, 5 columns at the bottom. Yep, perfect. Now double-click on My Web Camera. Yeah, and drop that down and make it XSplit instead of Logitech. XSplit VCam. Okay, click OK.
It's almost impossible to understand you here.
Sorry, you can't hear me?
It's very choppy, so I don't know if it's picking up my Brio mic and my Jabra mic or what's going on. Oh, it just got cleaner there.
Okay. So in that case,
Peter is the one that's choppy. Actually, I don't know if it's your connection, Peter. Denzel seems clear to me, but you're very choppy.
Oh, okay. But I wonder if he's wondering it's choppy because he's running XSplit and his PC is close to messing up his audio. That's what he's asking. That's what I think.
Is it because I'm also running Visual Studio, Power BI, SQL Server, and a whole bunch of other things?
You're like me, man. Powerhouse, 64 gigs of RAM yet or 32?
Just 32.
Okay, so you're topping out at 32 for 100% with the. So go to XSplit and click the pause button there. Thank you, Zaki. Go to XSplit and click that pause button at the top there. You see that pause? It's just that the Insta360 video.
Refresh.
Yeah. Kick pause. Yeah. Okay. Drop it down and select Brio. Okay. Now click the play button in there.
Okay. So I'm back now here. Our audio is better now as well too. So
click on remove background behind it. No. That's the top there. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Got it. Shay got it. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Go to OBS behind you. And double click that camera and click activate. So double click it, and then when it comes up, deactivate and activate. So the good old get in and get out. Okay, click OK. Let's see if she's come. Double click it again. It's not detected your XSplit yet. Drop it down, the XSplit VCam. Just make sure there's no two. There's only one, right? There's only one, yeah. So select select VCam, XSplit VCam, the one you already had. Where it says custom, go device default. I will see what it picks up from XSplit. Perfect. Now click OK.
Okay.
All right. So in XSplit, you are being there. So because we are using OBS, nothing's preventing you from oversizing this and removing the word XSplit out of the frame.
Okay.
So that's the cheap man's. Let me just remove all your watermarks.
What does XSplit cost?
Not much. Like $8,
like,
$10 or less. So it's not that bad. It's actually
spend the $10. Yeah.
Listen, NVIDIA broadcast comes for free when you spend the 1,000, right? So this is like nothing. So go ahead, click Meet Like a Boss, and notice that the background's gone.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you bring a moving background?
Well,
so I want to give you
media in the background, right?
Yes. Tell me you have a video file on your on your desktop. You have a video file?
I've got a bunch. What's appropriate on no notice?
Unicycle videos.
What's good for this crew, this recording? I'll let you select that. So the way I want you to do this, you're going to restore OBS to a size that'll going to allow you to drag and drop. So you're going to now experience how do I add a file without going through 10 clicks? Well, you can drag and drop it into the source. So I want you to drag and drop programmer's guidance. I want you to drag and drop a video where it sees sources. It says overlay, city, date, time. Then it says show web camera. You're going to drag and drop in that source for me, Peter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just find one here.
Sure.
Okay. So if I've just got some drone video here, so I just drop it into sources.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what you do. Yep.
So I didn't see anything show up in there.
Yeah, you know why? They're not actually on your computer. The cloud icon.
Right.
Double click it. That's a JPEG actually. Can you click a video?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So MOV files. Yeah.
Before I do that, how monster big are these? 2.37 gig.
Whoa. I would go for something like 50 megs, 30, 60. 50,
I know.
60
Let me see if I can find a smaller one here. Let me switch it to details.
Hey, I had to add the disclaimer.
Dude, this is awesome. Thank you for backing me up on that.
Okay, so there's
20,
there.
21 is good. Yeah, that 21 megabytes. Double click it. Let's just quickly see. Is that the Mavic or is that the bigger one? The DJI you have?
It's actually my buddy's. It was on a kiteboarding trip. I can't remember what he was flying for it. Okay, so here, let me try dragging that in now then.
Yep. Now it's a 2-second video, so it'll play fast and it will just disappear. So are you seeing it in there or I don't see it?
No, it's still not coming through. So
again, yeah, let go. Okay, so switch your scene to the scene below with show title, and then switch back, and let's see if it actually detected. No, it didn't. So we're going to do it another way, just because I think this is not working, but it does work for image. I use it all the time. It might require OBS
Do I just
restart.
do the
Let's not
plus
do that.
in here?
Click the plus sign. When to add a video, it's actually not image, it's going to be media source, correct?
Yeah.
And click, and typically here is what you name the source. So just say my drone for now. Don't call it media source. It'll end up like SP object 1, SP object 2. I mean, you'll have no idea what it is. Browse, go keep browsing to that folder where you had your OneDrive. Copy the path. I like this man. He's quick, nice. Yep, the one with the checkbox. There it is. Okay, before you click OK, this video needs a loop, right? So click on check and click OK. And let's see if it opens up the move file. There it is. Notice, guys, the object on the top is blocking the object behind, right? So if he drags this object drone 2 down, it will be behind him, right? Okay, now go stop XSplit and we won't see it, just to show everyone what XSplit was doing for you, right? Yeah, so click on original. Actually, click on click on original, and then now it should just in a second show your home. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so we're back there now. Yeah.
So you're back there again. So how do you do this? You're not too far from like putting a moving background. Let's do one more. Okay. So I want you to right-click this scene and duplicate it. And by doing that, you're going to take all the sources and elements into another scene. Okay. And put a dash at the end. And say whiteboard, or oops, try it again. Actually, the dash, say dash green screen. So if you don't want to install XSplit, but you still want to simulate a green screen, how can you do that? Okay, so let's stop the not the video, but go to XSplit and remove it. The option.
Just go back to the original.
Yeah, perfect, original. So now we're going to see Peter back, in the home. So he's wearing a green shirt. Does anyone notice that?
What a choice for green screening.
Thank you.
It is St. Patty's Day. Come on.
It is St. Patty's Day. So whether you bring a green whiteboard or whether you bring a green paper or whatever you do, the green object will be chroma keyed. So I'm going to get him started slowly so that you watch how this is done. I'm not going to add this filter to his camera. Then every time his camera's on, it'll be green screening certain parts of him. And they'll be like, what the hell's going on with his shirt? We're going to create a new group. So in there, click plus, sources, plus, call it group. It's the first one from the bottom. First one. We're going to say chroma cam. All right. Perfect. You just created a group and there's no object nested in the group. I want you to bring this source one below overlay, one below. Okay. Now perfect. I want you to hold drag, show webcam on top of chroma cam. So click, So that if you let go, you'll see it go indented. Perfect. We're going to add a filter, not to his actual scene and actual camera. We're going to add a filter to the group. So this works at source, scene, and group level. I like to do the group because then if he builds another scene, he won't be green screen unless he uses the group. Filters, the first option from the bottom, actually. First option, yeah. So filters is where you can add effects. That's how, I was affecting myself. So click plus. And you're going to select chroma key. By default, chroma is green. So automatically in a second, we might see the drone video on him. But let's see what happens. Yeah, click OK. Okay, so I want you. So right now he's not lime green. But Peter, could you stand up a little bit more so we could see more, I was going to say chest hair, but chest. Okay.
Not me.
Okay, perfect. This green is not true chroma. So what we're going to use people what do you call people picker? I was going to say people picker, color picker.
Yeah.
Drop down the green where it says the color type and say custom. Select color. It pops up. In here is a pick screen color. I like that you moved it. Yes, click on pick screen color. It's just on the palette. Move your mouse over your shirt. Yeah, click that. Perfect. Click OK. All right. Okay, you just noticed Peter's disappeared. So Peter, remove the similarity all the way down to 0. So the first slider, all the way down to 0. Second slider, all the way down to 0. All right. Third slider, all the way down to 0. So what's happening is anything green is being translucent. So slide slowly the similarity and keep increasing it. Go 5, 6, 7. It's a bit sensitive, so you'll see. If you pick a sweet spot, you will be perfectly green screened. And of course, if you do you have a light? Do you have a light that can shine on you? Do you have a light that is it just your monitor that's giving you light right now?
There's a desk light and there's some background lighting.
Okay, so the way green screen works, it's as good as the light hitting green, right? So if more light was hitting you, then you would be completely like you'll notice that you can see artifacts around your home much more clearer. But does everybody see the water behind him? Okay, so click close for me for a second. So I love this because then he can go get a video of different t-shirts or lasers from YouTube, and it'll look like lasers firing out of his shirt. Just go present like this, like a boss, and people, I want that shirt. Just go present like this, and people go, whoa, this is how I change my clothes every day. I just bring on a different green screen. So let me just pause for a second. We're 6 minutes over. I love the enthusiasm. People want to learn. So do we understand how this happened? Yes, no. Okay, do we want to do one more green screen just to try? One more. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Leave this here. You did not break anything because if you switch back to show title and Teams Like a Boss, just green shirt, it doesn't have a filter there. Everything's back. That's why I didn't want to do it there and infect you in all scenes, right?
Right.
Let's do it one more time. Duplicate that not show title. Duplicate 22 Meet Like a Boss, the one higher. Yeah, duplicate. And this one say green screen monitor. Green screen monitor. Just say monitor. We'll rename it later. What I'm going to get him to do in a second here is in this, we're not going to delete sources, which is we're going to hide them. Your mouse is on the right spot. That's a show high visible thing. So click on that button. It's the eye. It looks like a show and hide.
Right. Yeah. Which one do you want?
All of them. So it goes completely black, right? Perfect. All right. So he's basically hidden all the sources, right? We're going to add a new source. So you mentioned you have more than one monitor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's add that monitor. So it's going to be called display capture.
Right.
All right. It's best to name the capture which display it's going to be. So if you want to click cancel
one or
yeah, it's perfect. So you could rename it if you want. Otherwise, it'll all end up being display one. Yeah. Now, you click OK, and then you can remove display capture, which is a source in the same scene as it appears twice. Click OK, and just, the source below that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right-click remove. Now, if you're afraid that your kid's going to come and move your mouse, there's a lock button, and that prevents the object from moving. So that's why there's a lock right beside of it. Right. Now, notice this screen he's sharing. I would like you to go to this display. Open up a page in Google and search for the word green. Just say green, and then we look at all images in Google that are green. And we're going to green screen his display now. All right, so same concept of green. Yeah, so search for green. Say green, solid, how about solid green background? Pick any one of those green. It should be a nice big background in green. Perfect, that's good. Yeah, click into it so that it's full screen. So right click, open image in new tab so we can get the full image. It's a tab on the left because we've done the new way. Oh my God, that's the smallest image in the world. So okay, I like that. Okay, so go back now. Go back to, if you noticed, he did everything on another monitor. We're watching him do this in OBS. That's because the display is there. How can we put Peter here? Right. So very simple. Peter, can you click the cam? Show webcam only. It's hidden because we click sorry, my bad. Let me explain that again. Go back to that scene. In the source, unhide show web camera. Okay, you are below. Move view camera to the top so we see you. Now, what I do here is I can resize this. So resize, pick an edge and make yourself smaller. Now, sometimes people say, well, Denzel, it's too much of my sides of my home. So how do I delete that or trim crop? Press the press the Alt key, Peter. And as you press, you can trim the edges and make a perfect square box if you'd like, right? So move yourself to the right there, in the corner. And so adjust this how you want. Now, the reason I had him pick up a solid green display is I'm not going to use the source green screen cam. We're going to create a brand new one on his display. So let's create a new group. Click plus, group, and call it group monitor. What do we call the last one? Group date, group monitor, and then 1. I figured the display number.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect. Again, a new object appears. You're going to drag and drop the monitor into this group. First, I would move it down so that way it's below your web camera. And then I would drag screen 1 on top of the group so it gets nested and now it's indented. Same idea, right-click the group, go for filters, right? Now I'll tell you, this is a very close to the real lime green, so it'll just disappear in the back and we'll see his background on his desktop. So go ahead, click plus, click chroma key, and click OK, and click OK. Yeah, click OK. Click close, actually. It's perfect. Because what's happening is you notice the whole background just went away.
Disappeared. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's turn on the drone video at the bottom. It's got a little show hide. Yeah. It's going to come through. What? Cool. So you can get really creative with presentations. Just imagine your PowerPoint deck in completely lime green. Or strategic square boxes in PowerPoint are green. So when your video appears, you appear right in the box. Think about it, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking about is my intro slides on my decks. So if I pull up one of my slide decks.
Yes, exactly. You
take my picture out, put a chroma key in, and have my live talking head.
Let's duplicate it and call it green screen PowerPoint. And same concept. We're going to add a new window capture. You did a display capture. I'm going to do a window capture. How can I capture just PowerPoint, right? So let me show you about the PowerPoint captures and some of the annoyances that I have with window captures. For example, PowerPoint Teams, the exe that shows in OBS is unique because every PowerPoint is an exe with the display name of the file, which makes it hard to keep the source active. So let's try this.
If I snag at this and just throw it in as my bio picture.
Okay.
To PowerPoint, get rid of me, put that in. Am I on the right path?
Yeah. I actually would, you're doing a little bit more professional. I'm too fast, so I will just go to PowerPoint and create a square box and make it green. That's me. But you know, I do have Photoshop, and for Sundays I would open that up. Yeah. Well, you're on the right path. So let's go back to PowerPoint, right? So this is your deck.
There we go. So now I just
hit presentation mode. Just go ahead. Make sure when you're presenting that the monitor it displays is the same one, so that you know that that's where it would be. In presenter notes could be on another screen, right? Like yeah.
So how do I select? Oh, there we go. So then I could have that.
Yeah, you don't have.
I mean, I don't even need the chroma key. I could just drop it on front top, couldn't I?
No. That's not how I do it. The right way to do is drop the show web camera to be the lowest layer, but higher than drone.
Right.
You don't have to worry about cropping anything because you're literally behind.
It just auto crops it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because it's filling this. It's filling the green box. It's filling in the. You don't even need the drone footage at that point because you're filling in or punching holes in green.
So if I had a dozen slides and I wanted myself to be speaking from different spots on the slides, well, I guess you'd have to position the background to be the right spot, wouldn't you?
I like what you're saying. I've actually downloaded some code from GitHub where every time you change your slide, it changes the scene in OBS.
Scene around, yeah.
Yeah, and Scott Hanselman developed one like that. I've used it. Hugo has done it, and personally, I'm faster with my method. But you can definitely use the PowerPoint method, like we were just talking about. But I just find that every time you change your slide, if it's not switching an OBS scene and you're moving around, then you're not. Yeah, it doesn't line up. Then you should do what you said. You should fix a place where you'll always be. Right? And then that's the green box. Doesn't matter how much. It's one scene in OBS, but it's 10 slides you'll keep going through. Right?
Yeah. Very cool.
So, folks, I'm sorry, but I'd love to stay and talk more and show you a lot more than you saw here today. But the possibilities from here just expand. So hopefully this has been entertaining. You might find some use, and it helps you with your personal job and with work, and your meetings are much more engaging in the future.
Very cool.
Thank you, Bill.
While I've got you, can I take 2 minutes and just ask you a couple of quick questions?
Yeah, rapid fire. Let's go.
So
thanks,
public
Lewis.
meetings,
Thanks,
the challenge from a privacy point of view, having everybody's contact info listed there. I mean, this is something that's caused all the conferences grief. Is that something that's already addressed or will be addressed? Can you hide your privacy in a meeting that you join?
Define privacy: presence or
let's say
contact information.
This session here, and I'm running a webinar. We typically do live events for our webinars because then individuals are private from each other, and they can't get, you can't scrape through and get 300 email addresses of everybody that's in that meeting because it's a live event.
So I'll give you my hack. It's not a hack. Everyone who clicked the join button today, 3 things happened. When you click the join, you already authenticated the Teams, not authenticated the Teams, or you did it from inside of Teams. Personally, if I had to hide my identity coming to this meeting, I would copy your join link and go open up in incognito mode.
Right.
Immediately, Teams will say, enter your name. Like I'll just say fake user 1. I've come in as a guest now. I will be in a lobby, but that's removing my identity. If I had to go the other way around, join as Denzel as Microsoft and hide my phone number. I think presence, Jason, I think that rolls, but I think our contact information is not coming. Our organization is not coming. I think some other details don't come, but you do know my team status and my email address. I think I could probably see everyone's email address if we went through participants.
Right, but it's something the person joining has to do rather than the organizer can do that.
Yeah. I don't know if Ignite has a feature the way I saw to mask. I know we can mask phone numbers calling in, the last 4 digits, but not so much the identity, because you have to think that Teams is supporting authenticated and anonymous. So of course, if you're authenticated, we're going to see the authenticated users information.
I guess you could tell people, hey, if you don't want to share your identity, please join this way. Open it in private and put whatever you want. Yeah.
Whatever you want. Speaker 1, speaker 2. And actually, a lot of people who kind of do that either have a generic account in their organization that they use because they're doing interviews and stuff like that with the candidates. Right. They don't want to, like I know that Life Labs and all this COVID screening and stuff, you think these people want to show you their name? No, man. They're doing exactly that. They create a generic account, they log in with that. Only one user uses that account, and it's mapped to a hardware. They join every meeting. But no, if you're just a person like me, just want to hide your identity for 1 event or 2 events, or just join anonymously in the browser.
Right. Cool. Yeah. And the other one was about live events. So I love the idea of having a pre-roll saying, we're starting in 5 minutes, that sort of thing. But you can't have that unless you actually start the live event, which you don't want to do at that point.
Want to do something like this. Say, watch this. So I've already created this scene. It has the starting soon. It has the countdown timer. It has everything that I need. In the next 1 minute, then I could push a button. It shows modern workplace. Push another button. It shows immersive meetings. So you could be doing this, or you could just record this as a video and load it in OBS for 1 minute. That would be it. That's how you
right. It just becomes part of the,
but you're live.
The streamed event. You're live at that point.
So in pre-production, even they are live 5 minutes before with exactly what we just said. But all presenters' mics are on mute. If you use StreamYard, Restream, Streamlabs, even all those softwares, when they go live, all the presenters, even vMix, I think they all on mute till you as a person open it and say,
Right.
you add them to the scene, boom, now their mics are unmuted.
Right.
So usually in those softwares, if you never used it before, you're supposed to say, hey guys, we're going live. Your mics are going to be on mute. Okay. When the intro is done, you'll be there and your mic will be off mute.
Yeah.
But everyone forgets what the guy said and they're like, should I unmute my mic, mute my mic? Like, they always forget it. They panic, like, oh my God, I can't talk. So Microsoft is improving the staging area, they're calling it, for Microsoft Teams live events.
Okay.
So staging area can be, because think about it, in real life, we both had a chance to speak behind the curtains before Peter said, I'm going to introduce you, right? Like,
right.
We can't do that here. So how do you take it to that level? So they're saying pre-staging or staging for presenters is a feature that's coming out.
Okay, so that is in the roadmap.
Yeah, it's in the roadmap.
Cool.
I couldn't tell you. It's rolling map. How about that?
Yes.
All right.
This has been awesome.
If I'm going to have a wife and kids after this, I'm going to have to say go. Thank you so much. I love sharing this stuff with you guys, and I'll stop learning with you guys too. But thanks for having me. Thank you, Louis, for encouraging me to do this as well. So hopefully this has been worthwhile for Peter, for the group, and for others who've joined as well, who would try to do something different.
I'm going to have to test drive this next week in my next webinar. We'll see how it all hangs together. Awesome. Thanks for the tips.
You're welcome, guys. All the best.
Thank
Practice
you.
is
Bye.
perfect.
Night, everybody.
Great, thanks. We'll talk to you later.
Peter, I was just looking, you might be worth getting the VCAM